schedules to be able to attend our Office 365 overview. We hope to be able to make this next hour probably fast-paced. And what we're going to be doing is really providing you an overview of what exactly Office 365 is. I hope that everyone is enjoying a little bit of the cooler and drier weather this morning. I certainly am. And I've got Chris Edwards next to me. He's part of the team here, and he's helping me out being able to do the webinar. Chris has been with us, I don't know, I think over a year now, and both a Windows and a Mac guy, and a real utility player for the team. And then manning the chat box, we have Dave Wass. Dave is our 365 product specialist. Dave has been working very closely with myself really over the course of the past 18 months as we have really validated the Microsoft Cloud product, Office 365, first by implementing it to ourselves in our own office, and then being able to really roll it out to an awful lot of clients. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And so just a little bit of housekeeping, using a webinar tool called GoToMeeting. If you do find that you have any problems, please call 203-595-9091 and hit option 1, and they can make sure that you're able to get a real quality experience out of this. We are recording this webinar, so if at any point you need to be able to get pulled away, you can just drop us an email and we can provide you a link to where the recording is going to be. So what I'm going to do first is be able to tell you a little bit about CMIT Solutions. CMIT Solutions is a national company, so we're about 140 offices right now. I think one of our unique things is that we can put an engineer in front of a keyboard in pretty much every metropolitan area of the country. We really have an exclusive small to mid-sized business focus. So we focus on organizations that have between 1 and 150 workstations. So that includes, some home-based organizations as well as organizations that have multiple locations and that are able to leverage our expanded network to be able to do that. We're known as what's called a managed service provider. So although we provide services on an hourly basis, on a project basis, our real goal is, and the way we work best, is to be able to come and really be your entire IT department. And that's why we really focus on the 1 to 150. So our goal is to be able to make you and your employees as really productive as possible. Because we are a national company and we are organized as a franchise, one of the great benefits for both us and for all of our clients is that our office in Austin, Texas, provides vetting of all of our technology partners. There's probably about 2 different partners that we use in order to be able to keep machines working at an optimal basis, being able to do patching, take care of your server and your network and voice over IP and disaster recovery solutions. And so there's a lot of different moving parts when it comes to technology. And one of my clients recently said to me, he says, you guys have one of the toughest jobs in the world. You're trying to be able to control things that you don't own, don't create, and yet you also become the victim of all of the different technology partners that are out there. And so our job is to be able to pick the right ones, provide them to you, and be able to then, together with you, make sure that you're really getting productivity for your organizations. We do have each one of our CMIT offices has a local staff. That is then augmented together with really a virtual and engineering team we have that right now is over 800 different people. So this way you get that localized, personalized type service. The staff knows you, knows your environments, knows your personalities, but at the same time we're able to leverage the experience and depth and knowledge of a very wide and diverse engineering team. Typical services that we provide are infrastructure maintenance and monitoring, help desk services, technology advisement and planning, and then each one of our office also goes on to very often be able to have additional specialties. And so CMIT Stamford has a local staff of 7. We opened up in 2005 and provide our services to Lower Fairfield County. We have so the kind of the over infrastructure management types of services we do is we really come out and we're an early adopter of Office 365 and now provide a lot of implementation and deployment services to not only clients here in Connecticut, but we also partner together with other CMIT offices to be able to make all of this wonderful stuff happen outside of the Fairfield County area as well. CMIT Stamford also does voice over IP phone systems. We have a unique relationship with an organization called B2B CFO, so we also provide interim CFO services for companies that are looking now to be able to perhaps build an exit strategy, do a merger, be able to get additional working capital lines, or simply want to be able to get more profitability to be able to drop to their bottom lines. And together with that, we also have a very long relationship with Intuit, and Lucy Walker on our staff is both a pro advisor and is point of sale certified. We work with all different editions of QuickBooks and do a fair amount of migration services right now as well. So, what are you going to get out of this webinar? We really our goal is to be able to have you leave here being able to understand, at least at a high level, the different features and benefits of Office 365 and that cloud implementation. We're giving you also an immediate opportunity to get your questions answered. Dave Wass, who is that product specialist, is manning our chat. So don't hesitate whatsoever to be able to drop a question or a thought or a comment into that chat box, and he will either respond to you immediately or we'll take the question at the end of the webinar. If in the end you find out you feel that Office 365 is something that you want to be able to look at more closely, please let us know. Please let your local CMIT office know. We've got some folks here actually from several different parts of the country, and we're happy to be able to work with you then to be able to look at it more closely and provide you pricing and a migration path. Okay, so let's jump into the main meat of this. So Office 365 is Microsoft's cloud platform. And really with this, what they have done is they've taken all of the different Microsoft software, the stuff that you install on your desktop, the stuff you install onto your servers, and they've now provided them into, available through a browser, where instead of it running on your desktops and running on your server, it's running on their machines that you're accessing through the cloud. And true to Microsoft's vision, Microsoft is very much focused on being able to help businesses, although it does do some consumer products. It has taken really all of that software and now made an incredibly integrated cloud experience for you. It is, and I think this screen, this title on here really captures it. So their vision is really to create a seamless experience that combines the magic of the software with the power of the internet across a world of devices. And what's interesting to be able to see with what's happened in the last 12 months is that Microsoft really has understood and embraced the fact that not everybody's going to run on a piece of Microsoft hardware, and even a Microsoft operating system. So the entire Office 365 experience integrates very well with Mac and the Apple and iOS platform, as well as the Droid Google platform as well. So as we look into how Office 365 operates on all the variety of different tablets and mobile devices that they are, you'll very nicely find out that it works very well no matter what kind of a machine or that you want to be working with. So let's dive into a little bit of detail here. So Office 365, a lot of people think, oh, when they hear that term, Office 365, they think of it as just the Office products that they've come to know that are typically installed on your desktop, Word and PowerPoint and Outlook. But what's interesting now is that in a cloud subscription model, Microsoft is now making available that version. But you can also use those same Office products through a browser in what's called, which used to be called web apps, which is now really called just Office Online. And here you're able to work with Word through a browser. And as we've seen in the past with Google Docs, they tried to replicate, probably 10% of the functionality that you may have found in something like Word. But now Microsoft has probably pushed probably a good 60 to 70% of the functionality within that browser. So the advantage here is that you don't have to have it installed on your desktop. You can just grab any machine that's got an internet connection, log on to your Microsoft account, and poof, you can go in and bring up a Word document or an Excel document. Scott Coopersmith has gone so far as to be able to create some modeling stuff inside of Excel with something called a pivot table, and that was actually able to be done and used completely through the browser, and while not having Excel loaded at the desktop level. The Office products also have a different version that are run on mobile devices. So the screen on a smart screen or a tablet device is obviously much smaller than the real estate that you have on your desktop or even a good-sized laptop. And the product, when you load the mobile version of it, completely has different navigation and different ways of rendering itself so that it's really optimized for that smaller screen. With Office 365, you have the ability to be able to have the entire, suite, including Publisher and Access and OneNote, and you're able to install it on up to 5 machines for that subscription. So what we see happening is a lot of people originally get it, install it on their desktop, but then, they also have a home machine, and they use that for some work stuff, so we install it on the home machine. And then they typically are walking around with at least a smartphone, so it gets loaded on there. And then there's very often now either a tablet or a laptop that people also want to be using. So with one price, and we'll talk about pricing later, which is pretty cheap, you're able to get a lot of different copies of Office on all the different devices that you want. The next big part of Office 365 that people may or may not know about is you really get what's called hosted exchange. So here you get business class email, the stuff that large corporations use, through your Office 365 subscription. So for a couple dollars a month, you're able to get email that is able to then synchronize between your multiple devices. So delete one place, and that deletion will propagate against all the different places that your email is, and works very seamlessly. For those people that may need more advanced functionality, email encryption, archiving, discovery capabilities are also available. And so you're essentially getting, what amounts to about a $4,000 piece of software for a couple dollars a month, and you don't have to be able to buy a big, heavy, expensive server to be able to run it on. And if that's not all, what they've now added is the ability to be able to do file sharing, and file storage. So here you now have a cloud version or a set of cloud documents. Instead of saving your documents on a local basis to My Documents, you're now going to save them to OneDrive for Business. This now puts them into the cloud and means that, here again, any computer that you pick up that has an internet connection, you're going to be able to get a hold of your files. No more need to email them to yourself or to be able to throw them onto a thumb drive. Then we go ahead and add Link Communications. Link, is the business version of what a lot of people know as Skype. So it has all the functionalities in Skype, and actually the two products are merging. So you can do video calls, you can do audio calls, you can do chatting. But what I really love about Link is the fact that you can do screen sharing. So I can be on a call either through my regular phone or through Link with someone. I can say, hey, let me show them your screen, click of a button, and wham, they're able to see my screen. And they don't even need to be an Office 365 subscriber in order to be able to have that functionality. Collaboration solutions. You may or may not have heard about SharePoint. It has now gotten much simpler within Office 365, easier to be able to deploy. It allows for collaboration solutions, and we will be running a webinar in the next couple weeks that goes over the functionality there. But essentially, the easiest way to think about it is you are able to build an intranet for your team, and that team can include people inside and outside of your organization to be able to share content like emails, like pictures, like documents, like project plans, like bookmarks. And so every kind of content you could think about all gets combined and visually seen into one screen. And all of this is backed by a 99.9% SLA. So in the 18 months that we've been running internally on the Microsoft Cloud platform, we have only been aware that there has been one small outage. There are 3 different ways to log on to Microsoft, and for about 20 minutes of time, there was one of the logon portals was unavailable. Other than that, there has been no downtime whatsoever. They are secure, they are private. Microsoft is not going to harvest your information for advertising purposes. It is HIPAA compliant, FINRA compliant, and so you can be rest assured that the information that you store into the Microsoft Cloud cannot be read by anybody that you don't authorize it to be read. So you can see just across the blue area on the screen here, this is kind of what it looks like when you start to be able to access your Office 365 subscription through a browser. You'll see it starts with Outlook, then it says your calendar, people, Yammer, OneDrive, and so here essentially are just some quick tabs for you to be able to navigate through and be able to do that. Office 365 integrates with what you already have. Windows 7, all editions, whether it's Home, Professional, Pro. You are going to get your best experience with Windows 8 because they were designed hand-in-hand coming out of the lab. The iPad, the iPhone experience, all of the Android devices, as well as Macs, Apples, whether they're MacBooks, MacBook Airs. You really get a great experience with the whole thing, and that's for all of the file sharing and email and everything that goes along with it. So you have two options really with this kind of a thing. You can work traditionally out of your desktop, like a lot of people do, and what happens is that there is also a lot of expanded functionality within Outlook, and so within Outlook we're used to using Outlook just for our email. And then you have your calendar and your tasks. But what you can also start to see on the left-hand side is you'll see in an area that says All Things Office. That's actually documents that are saved into my SharePoint site, into a team collaboration site. So I can expose that content to Outlook. So now I can drag and drop emails into different storage locations. I can take documents and swipe it in there. It makes it so that you can really spend most of your time in Outlook, even though you have all of these other Microsoft products that are working behind you. But what happens for those people that really prefer to work out of a browser? They never worked with Outlook before, and they say, hey, give me that Gmail experience. Well, Microsoft has that for you as well. And so you can work entirely through the browser, as we saw on the first screen, to be able to get to your email, get to your contacts, get to your people. And so this is what Outlook through a browser looks like. And here's what the calendar looks like. You can have your own calendar, you can have other people's calendars, you can have 4 and 5 different calendars, and then you can check mark them all so that they show them simultaneously. So for instance, I keep a personal calendar, and then I have a business calendar, and then I actually keep a calendar where I have different networking events that I may or may not want to attend. And at any point in time, I can actually overlap all the calendars so that I can see how to be able to organize my time better. As Chris laughs at me because I have a tough time sometimes being able to keep all that stuff organized. But if I'm also looking for a time when we all can meet, it allows me the ability to be able to show those all in different colors so that I can find out what our free time is and who's busy where. So where do I save my files? So the answer now is I need to be able to save it in OneDrive for Business. The home editions or the personal editions of Office 365 save it in something called OneDrive. The only difference between OneDrive and OneDrive for Business is the level of security. OneDrive for Business is secured and encrypted so that no one can read it, but if you do sign up for a home or personal account and use OneDrive, they don't make those same kinds of guarantees. And it's very easy. So within, as soon as you start running the Office products, you go to save a file, poof, there's a little icon that now pops up that says, would you like to just save it to your OneDrive? Really getting you in the habit of being able to put it there. Here's the big added advantage with being able to save your information into the Microsoft Cloud. You don't have to worry about backing it up. Microsoft is doing that for you. They run data centers, and there's gobs of them actually, both here on a U.S. as well as on a domestic basis. And if you are working for a company that is kind of has to conform to their defense company or doing work for the Defense Department, yes, you can set up your account so that your information is guaranteed to stay within the United States. But it is replicated, it is backed up, so you now eliminate the need and the nuisance and the monitoring of being able to have to run your own backups on your local desktops and laptops, as well as your servers. Team sharing. So, a lot of people either use what I call a big fat hard drive, a network attached storage, or a NAS. In other cases where people have a server, they're saving their files onto a server. Well, within the cloud architecture, you're now going to start saving those instead of on a local basis. You're now going to save them to your cloud through team file sharing. And this is where that SharePoint technology comes in. Visually, we can just map a drive to it. You do a save as. You see there's going to be your SharePoint drive. It's drive, M or whatever you want to call it. And the whole experience is really no different than what you're doing now. But you can access that same content through a browser with a whole lot more functionality. Link. So as I mentioned before, Link is a whole lot of Skype. So everything you can do in Skype is inside a Link, but it's secure. Your messages are now not flying across, your chats are not flying across the internet so that anybody in the world can take a look at them. They are secured, they are encrypted. It is secure to the point where we can and have deployed this into medical offices that really have to be able to worry about protecting patient health information, or otherwise known as HIPAA. If you want to be able to put a credit card number in there, you can actually be rest assured to be able to put it in there, and it's going to transmit to the other person without anybody else having to be able to do it. So secure chat is a really, really big important thing here. The other great thing is that the link conversations actually end up dropping into a folder inside of your Outlook, so they're stored. How many times have you been on an instant message where somebody is giving you a phone number or the name of a person, or within Link you can even throw a screenshot in there, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't write it down. Well, now you just go over to Outlook, you look in the folder, and there's my saved and missed conversations. So you're able to now store that content instead of it kind of leaking out of the business. So what's new with Office? We've touched on most of this. So you now have, the Office 365 versus the term Office. You have, a software that is installed on your desktop, installed onto different and rendered differently onto mobile devices. And there is also something called the streaming installation. So the scenario here would be is that you're at a hotel and all of a sudden somebody sends you a document, you don't happen to have your machine with you, and you need to make an edit. You go down to the business center at the hotel and they've got some really old, version of Office that's on there. Well, no problem. You grab a browser, IE or Chrome or Firefox, whatever your preference and whatever might be there. Log on to your Microsoft account. You can bring up your document, edit it, and you can actually even get to those advanced functions by having a streaming installation that's done to that particular machine. Finish your edits, save, close, and now it will be uninstalled so that there's no traces of even the your licensed Office copy residing on that piece of equipment. So a whole lot of great functionality happening here. So now you're probably thinking to yourself, my goodness, how much is this all going to cost me? Well, there are lots of different ways to be able to get involved. This is just a sampling of the different plans. There's a small business plan, a mid-sized plan. Most of the time we have people actually start with the enterprise plan because you can mix and match different things within the same plan area. And so we a lot of times will put people into the Enterprise E1 plan, which is the third from the right. That program provides the file storage, the email, the basic capabilities at $8 a month. But if you want the Office product as a part of all of that as well, it then jumps to that $22 a month. But here's the great thing. You can mix and match the $8 plan and the $20 plan. Meaning some people can have 8, well, because they're working on a machine and they're perfectly happy with their Office 2010. And, oh, now I'm buying a new machine. And what happens now is that we actually don't order Office installed on the machine, which saves you easily about $200, retail about $450. And instead, we just upgrade your subscription so that you now have the full Office 2014 package as a part of your subscription. Again, the big advantage here is that you now have multiple installations for all the different devices that you may be carrying around. Each month, Microsoft is now adding more and more SKUs. And so you can combine these in lots of different ways. So here's one of the add-on items that you can do. Some of you may be interested or currently using Visio. Visio is a great diagramming tool that can help you do everything from floor plans to being able to do organizational charts. And so people sometimes have not used it, well, because it was like $400 or $500. Well, now you can just add it for like, I think, $2 a month onto your subscription, and away you go. And then another popular one is Microsoft Project. Project does tasks and phases, and it can even help you with resource planning and monetary. Again, a lot of people didn't use this in small business because it was very expensive. Again, you can now add it on. So one of the things that I really recommend is that you sit down with someone if you decide that you want to do something with Office 365, and sit down with someone that really knows the different plans to make sure that they get you into the right one from the start, one that's going to satisfy your needs now, but also provide for a strategic plan on how to continue to be able to replace the stuff you have now. And as it needs to be replaced, you're going to be picking up stuff within Office 365. Too tiny to see because there's so many different things that you can add on. There used to be a whole bunch of SKUs, and there may even be here where you had to be able to buy extra storage. Well, you don't really have to buy extra storage anymore. I think it was about 3 months ago, the storage limit that Microsoft gave you on a single $8 subscription was 2 terabytes. That's an enormous amount of information. But then 3 months ago they said, no, nobody has to pay for storage anymore. If you're buying any one of their overall complete plans, where at least you have the email and the file storage on there, you now have unlimited storage. So there's no need to be able to pay for the stuff in the cloud. And remembering that this a lot of times is reducing people's costs because we're able to get rid of those backups. And so often there's a cost associated with your backups that is eliminated as part of being able to move into the cloud platform. So where do you buy it? Increasingly, there's different places to do it. When the product first came out, you could just buy it through Microsoft. About 2 months ago, we started seeing it show up on the Dell Chinese menu so that you could add it into the Dell. GoDaddy, maybe about 6-9 months ago, also started selling Office 365. We've had experience with all of these, and I distinctly, even though we're a big Dell Premier partner, I would not buy it inside of Dell. It took us like 4 hours to work with a client who had bought it on their own to be able to get it to activate. They don't quite have it all figured out. And the GoDaddy solution also has a number of limitations. So, of course, we recommend that you buy it from a CMIT Solutions office. You pay no more than if you were to be able to go directly to Microsoft. Nobody can discount this. The difference for you is that you're going to be buying from someone that's going to get you into the right type of plan. And we have abilities to be able to get a hold of Microsoft support questions at a much quicker rate than you would be able to. The product has gotten a lot of popularity. I want to say I think the last published number I saw was something like 1.8 million subscribers. And so Microsoft is scaling up their technical support and help desk, but it is not unusual to be able to see hold times of 1 to 2 hours. If you buy it from a CMIT office, we're doing this for dozens and dozens of clients, and so most of the time we don't even have to call Microsoft because we know the answer. Once in a while, we do find a bug, and they're really good about taking bugs from us and being able to fix them. But I don't see too many every now and then on an administrative panel. If you are interested in being able to kind of take a test drive, we can provide you with a 30-day free trial. We do very much recommend that you do that together with the office because we don't want to be able to disturb your desktop. And even the trial allows you to be able to click, click, click. And I had one person who did this on their own, and they inadvertently blew away all their contacts. And so we don't want that to happen to you. We can also make sure that your environment, your network, your server, your desktops are at the right maintenance level to be able to make the migration and the move over simple and hassle-free. There are a couple gotchas just in terms of being able to deploy it, and the gotchas are things like, well, Microsoft Courses is assuming that you've got every single update done on your machines for whatever operating system. And so there are some kind of requirements to that. And so we have tools now that can simply make sure that your environment is ready for Office 365. And then, of course, we do handle migrations of your data. You most likely have email somewhere. It may be sitting on your desktop. It may be sitting with some other hosting provider. You've got data that may be on a local basis or on a server or in a NAS or in Dropbox. And so part of the migration services that we offer with each one of these is to be able to make sure that you're getting all of that into one place. So, Chris, I know, and Dave have been busy answering some overall questions, but we can make Office 365 happen for you. There are people that have come to us wanting to be able to, kind of do it yourself. If you value your time and often don't want to be able to grow gray hair, I would recommend that you partner together with someone that's invested into the training and knows the gotchas on here. Most business owners, I don't think I've met too many, there aren't too many out there that don't value their time very much. And so if you're stuck being able to try to figure out something with Microsoft on your own, that's just taking away from the main focus that you have of being able to take care and service your clients and grow your client base and become profitable. All right. So one of the things that I just want to end off with is we really, one of our other missions at CMIT is that we have become the go-to place to be able to keep small business owners and other professionals up to date in technology. So instead of you having to be able to read all the different articles that go out there, you can connect with us with one of our, in any of our mediums, whether that's our blog post, or a Twitter feed, a LinkedIn feed, a weekly quick tips. You can be assured that if you connect with us, we'll be able to keep you up to date on everything that you need to know from an education standpoint to be able to keep yourself up to date on the best small business technology that's out there. So on behalf of myself and a couple other CMIT offices that are here with me tonight, this afternoon, I want to be able to thank you very much for being able to be here. We call this whole series Know It All because you don't know what you don't know. And we will be having some upcoming webinars featuring some of the other Office 365 areas to be able to do some deep dives. And if there's a particular topic that you would like to be able to see on one of our upcoming webinars, please send us an email and we'll get it in the lineup. We love being able to do these. It gives us an opportunity to learn and to interact with all of you. And I want to thank you again for spending time. Chris, do we have any last questions before we close it off?
Yes. Can we migrate an IMAP email to Exchange?
Yes. The answer is yes. So there's a couple different ways of doing it, depending on whether or not your email account has all historical information that's hosted in your email server, or whether you may have some local PSTs, but whatever the case may be, we can make that migration happen. One of the things we've also learned with email migrations is, frankly, how to do it without ever losing an email and without you ever having to be without your email. So there is no downtime when we handle a migration.
Would this eliminate the need to keep a separate calendar on Google?
So the question is, would this eliminate the need to keep a separate calendar on Google? And the answer is yes. So because you can have multiple calendars here, you can just migrate, and we can, I'd have to check with Dave to be able to see whether there's an auto way to export your Google Calendar. Yeah, so we connect the Google Calendar. So I'm going to say there's a probable yes. That we can convert the information, but it definitely would eliminate the need to have one.
Finally, they can't hear my question. Does OneDrive allow you to specify who is given access to certain folders?
So the question is, does OneDrive allow you to specify who you're sharing particular folders with? Again, the answer is yes. It actually goes down to the file level. So you can say, I want to be able to share this folder or this file with this person. I only want them to be able to read, but I want this other person to be able to edit. And then I send them out a share link. The way that this is controlled from a security standpoint is they will be asked to log on with some kind of a Windows ID. If they don't have one, they'll create one real quick, But if they have a Skype account or a Live account or any of those other accounts, they'll be able to get in there, and the security is controlled through that email. At any point in time, you can also see who your files are shared with and whether they're read or edit, and you can actually eliminate the sharing capabilities as well. So when we have any type of employee turnover, we do go over and eliminate their accounts, but also make sure that we haven't shared out information to an individual account. And if so, then we just go ahead and stop that sharing. Chris, any other questions?
Will the slides be available?
Yes, we can make the slides available. So just leave your information or request into the chat box or email us, and we can provide you a copy of the slides. And if you did miss this or want to be able to review any portion of it, we can also make a recording link available to you.
Final question was, will it work with XP?
Last question. Good question. Will it work with XP? Sadly, no. XP was such a different operating system from a code basis. It's written in what's called a 32-bit versus everything now is on a 64-bit. And Office was created, 10, 12 years later? No, it doesn't work on XP. So you will need to be able to upgrade those machines. But you should be upgrading those machines anyhow. I think the last statistic I saw is that XP machines boot up, I think, 4 or 5 times slower, and that's if they're in perfect condition. And you are 68% more vulnerable to viruses and malware. So there's the answer on that. Okay. That's the end of our questions. Again, thank you. I hope you've all gotten some value out of the overall time, and I look forward to being able to have you on our next webinar. You'll be getting emails with the schedule. Bye-bye.